everyone, welcome back to On The Fly. Today we're going to be taking a look at Day 3 of the Women's World Championship, currently happening out in Denmark. So we're going into it with the scores from today's game. We're going to start off with the U.S. beating Team Finland 6-1. And in this game, yes, it was a blowout, despite the score only being 6-1. Finland did face over 70 shots against, and when you face that many shots, eventually some are going to trickle in. And, I mean, it's with the U.S. playing as well. They're going to score. So in this game, I mean, for the Finns, they're playing against a superpower with Team USA. And this Team USA this year has looked really good, especially in their opening games, being able to get their legs underneath them. So whether or not they're going to be able to really compete in terms of Finland, who knows? They've looked okay with who they've played. They got stuck with a tough draw, having to play Canada first, and then they played the U.S. So when we look at that, yes, they aren't looking great as of right now with an 0-2 record. However, they've played some pretty good competition, and when they start to play the other teams in Group A, which will be the Swiss and Team Japan, I do expect them to win both, and I think they'll really start to show that they are a good team overall, and I think they can compete. But at the end of the day, when you're facing two of the top teams in women's hockey, you aren't going to do great, and this is sort of a reflection of that. The score has absolutely no meaning behind the game today. 72 to, I think it might have been 12 or 14 shots, tells you all you need to know about Game 1. But with that, we'll move on to Game 2 with the Czechs and the Danes. Very similar to this top game, a very dominant effort by the Czechs. The score does not reflect the game at all. The Czechs dominated from start to finish, ending up 5-1. Now moving on to the third game of the day, we have Canada beating the Swiss. And in this game, Canada looked decent. I wouldn't say they looked great compared to who they were playing. And I thought overall they could have played a lot better. They were penalized a lot when you really look at sort of where the penalties were. They weren't in great spots early in the game. And when they're taking that many penalties, you put yourself at risk, especially against worse teams. You're going to eventually get scored on. And luckily for Team Canada today, they weren't upset at all. And really, in my opinion, they didn't deserve to win that game in the slightest. However, they are the better team, so sort of their skill carried them through overall. But at the end of the day, if you're going to take a lot of penalties against a better team like the U.S. or the Finns, you're going to be on a path of losing. And overall, I think when you look at a team like Canada, they have to get their act together, because if they don't, they're going to be going home really, really early. So with that, we'll move on to the fourth game, and this game was the highlight of the day with a must-win game going in for Team Germany. And when you really look at it, Germany has some troubles right now trying to get out. They have to beat two teams. One of them is easy to beat. We got Team Denmark, and the other one is the Czechs, who are by far the best team in Group B. And who they have to beat is who they have to beat out to get that third spot is going to be Hungary. So, and they've already lost to them once, so it's Hungary playing Denmark tomorrow. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Germany, if they can pull off an upset against the Czechs and find their way through into the quarterfinals. I don't know if they have the power to do it yet, and that is something to watch for. In this game, before I get too far ahead of myself, 4-3 in a shootout win for Team Sweden. This game went 3-0 up for the Swedes. Then Germany battled back, tied the game up, forced to overtime, forced to shootout before Sweden put 2 in and won the shootout. And in this game, really, it was an equal game. I thought for the most part, I expected Germany to come out a little bit more prepared, a little bit more do-or-die mode. Unfortunately, they couldn't pull off the win today, and they are definitely looking at elimination this year before they even make the quarters, which is really rare for a team like Germany. They got a bunch of solid players overall. However, they just could not get the job done, and they have one more opportunity, or two more opportunities rather, to try and right their wrongs from past. And they need really to pray and hope for Team Denmark to upset Hungary tomorrow in order to get into the quarterfinal stage. Looking at the standings after Day 3, Canada, U.S. both with 2 wins, Swiss with a win and a loss, Finland, Japan both with 2 losses. Then with the Czechs, the Swedes, Hungary, Germany, and Denmark. So with this, Group B does matter in terms of the seeding. Group A, every team makes it, just determines where the seeds are. One plays 3 in Group B, 2 plays 2 in Group B, 3 for Group A plays number 1 team in Group B, and then 4 and 5 in Group A will play each other. So for Japan and the Swiss, and which most likely will be, assuming Finland can pull off some upsets and end up beating Swiss and beating Japan, which I do expect them to do. That's what you're looking at. You're sort of a Swiss-Japan quarterfinal, and I think that quarterfinal is going to be definitely one to watch. Japan did hold in there with the Swiss the last time they played them in the round robin, and I think it really is going to be a toss-up in terms of what goes on there. Group B, important to note, Germany's not looking great. Denmark probably isn't going to make it in. They aren't necessarily the top team in this tournament, and I don't really see them doing very well. They got 2 tough matchups coming up, so whether or not they do make it, who knows. But at the end of the day, I do expect the top 3 to be settled with the Czechs, number 1. Sweden's in there. And then you have 2 teams with Hungary and Germany. And I think between those 2 teams, that's going to be your 3rd spot. If Hungary can win tomorrow, which we'll talk about right now with the upcoming games, Canada-Japan at 9 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then the game of the day, Denmark-Hungary at 11 a.m. That game is the most important game for the quarterfinals and really overall in this tournament probably before you get to the playoff rounds. That game will be the most important game headed into the quarterfinals, because that's going to determine the 3rd seed. Whether or not one of these teams makes it, probably if Hungary can win that, if they find a way to win that game, I don't see how Hungary finds a way out of the quarterfinals, because Germany would then have to win twice. They'd have to beat the Czechs and the Danes, and I don't see them beating the Czechs. I could see them beating the Danes, but doubtful they beat the Czechs. So if Hungary can win tomorrow, they are most likely in. But with that, if you made it this far in the video, thanks for watching. If you'd like to drop a like, if you really liked it, consider subscribing. Tell all your friends and comment down below your thoughts on Day 3 of the Women's Hockey Championship. Until next time, see you.